Hello everyone, Zelrant here, and today we got more information on Florence's kit for Girls Frontline 2. And yes, I am saying her name a little bit differently than I have before. Someone let me know that it's the French version of the name, since her gun is a French gun, and that it is... I've looked at some pronunciations for it online for Florence in the French version, and from what I can tell, it's Florence. Now, I can't do the accent to make it sound really French, but Florence, I think, sounds about right. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, though. But let's just go ahead and get a look into her kit here. Now, just know that this doesn't have the numbers, and this is kind of just the general idea of everything, so we'll need to get the full kit when she releases to really understand it. But I do think it is quite interesting on how it's going to work, especially because they hinted at it a little bit with the fact that she also has heals like Springfield. But just wait till we get to the keys here, because one of her fixed keys really gives me an idea of how you might want to play her in the mono hydro team. Well, let's just go ahead and look at it. We have her passive right here. So I always like to look at the passive first. And so at the start of battle, summons Arios near Florence. So that's her pet bear. So he immediately becomes available at the start of the battle, which is really good. At the start of the allied turn, consumes Confectance Index. If there is an insufficient Confectance Index, he will disappear. So I'm wondering if... We've seen this with a lot of characters that have mechanics like this with Confectance Index. In those characters, a lot of their skills and ultimate have no cost of Confectance Index. It's usually controlled by how long, like a turn. So I'm going to guess her entire mechanics with Confectance Index is going to be tied to him. And we do know the pistol in the Battle Pass may be very good for her because it provides Confectance Index. We'll have to kind of see when we compare it to her personal one, which we'll look at here in a second. And then at the end of action, dispels Taunt, Flee, Infatuation, and Stun for Arios. So that's pretty good. I mean, he's kind of got that tankiness aspect to him. Like some of those enemies that apply these things, he can kind of go up there and just take that hit, because at the end of turn, he's going to be immediately, it's going to be dispelled off him anyway. So you can kind of have him absorb those to prevent it from happening to your other characters. So that's a little nicety there for him. Okay, then we can go up to her skills here. Have her basic attack here, deals physical damage. Probably nothing crazy with that. I don't think she's going to have anything tied to it like some characters do. Her first one, Intensive Care. Restores HP and dispels debuffs from the target and all surrounding allied units. So, a nice AoE heal and dispels debuffs from your surrounding allied units. Now, this one has a quite unique fixed key tied to it, which we'll look at here in a second. That kind of changes how the skill works altogether. And really, to me, is probably going to be a mandatory key on her, especially if you're building the mono hydro team. So we then have her second skill here, Pleasure Trigger, which is an active buff. Dispels Taunt and Flee from the target and applies Stimulants, consuming HP from the target. Stimulants at the end of action consumes HP from the buff holder, increases damage dealt by whoever has the buff. In addition, increases hydro damage dealt based on HP lost during the effect's duration. This is going to be key as well with that fixed key that's going to change this one. I'll kind of explain it when we get to it. So that's really good there. We have Masochist Hallucinations, Ultimate AoE Summon Control. So this is the summon to bring the bear back out. Deals AoE hydro damage to the selected enemy and surrounding enemy units, inflicting Confusion Agent Infatuation to them. Gains Confectance Index and teleports Arios to Florence's side. If Arios is not on the battlefield, it will be summoned. And then Confusion Agent. Hydro damage taken is increased. So that's going to be really nice. A debuff that makes all your hydro damage do more damage to them. At the end of action, it deals physical damage to surrounding enemy units. Alright, so that is the ultimate there. So pretty good. Overall, we don't have all the details on this kit, but we kind of get the idea of it there. Now we can look at Arios, which is the summon. So the local anesthesia inflicts Confusion Agent to the enemy and closest to Florence, dealing hydro damage and influx taunt. So I really like that he's basically able to be your tank with the taunt and take the heat off your teammates there. And basically with him having that immunity to these here as well, well, not immunities, but it immediately dispels at the end of action. it's very good for using him to take on enemies that have those. And then you have Assistant passive counterattack. When Florence takes damage, Arios will take all damage on behalf of her. After enemy unit ends its action around Arios, if Florence or Arios takes damage, Arios will counterattack, dealing hydro damage. So a nice little counterattack there. If Arios takes damage, gains Humiliation Mark. When Humiliation Mark reaches 5 stacks, it will be converted into Frisson of Despair, which Frisson of Despair increases attack. The damage multiplier of the attack skill will be doubled, increases damage dealt against enemy units afflicted with Infatuated. So, sounds like the summon could be pretty strong based on what we see here. We'll just kind of have to see when we actually get the numbers. But I really like what we see there. Now we have the keys for Florence, and one of them, like I've mentioned, is pretty big, and we'll get to that one here very soon. The first one, Lethal Stimulation. At the start of battle, gains Confectance Index. I think this one's going to be important, simply because to keep the bear summoned, you need the Confectance Index. So that'll be really nice to start with a lot of Confectance Index. We have Self-Pleasure. After using an active skill, restores HP to Florence and Arios. I mean, a lot of those, I've never really used the healing type ones, unlike any of the characters, because most of the teams, we have a sustain or some other way to sustain, so you don't really need them. Increased Sensitivity. After Florence and Arios attacks, inflicts defense down to the enemy units. That's going to be huge. That's now your defense down capability. I do not believe Hydro has defense down built into like the mono team. Right now, defense down has been the, hey, you have the hybrid Klukai, Peridia mixed with Springfield, Tololo, and Nikita. Your defense down too comes from your Klukai. It comes from Klukai if you have dupes on her, which if you're creating the hybrid team you want, I mean, those are the people that like have V6. So you get your defense down that way, but now you actually have it built into the Hydro team, which means you really don't need, I mean, you're basically coming together with your mono Hydro with this. So that is really nice as well. You have Counterattacks Reward. After Arios counterattacks, gain attack 2. That might be very good for the summon. Then we have Lust for Bondage. When using the ultimate skill, all targets will be pulled towards Florence. Very situational, but could be very useful. We'll kind of have to see. But what that can do is, if you have a map where you can pull them towards you, it might make it easier for someone else with AoE attacks, like in a more AoE heavy fight, to be able to come in and actually hit all the enemies. You could think someone like Klukai, where, I mean, she already has a massive AoE on her own, but this makes it easier to hit all the enemies if you're pulling them in a little bit. But I think that one will be very situational, so probably won't be used very often. But this is the big one right here, Sweet Temptation, and I think this is going to be kind of key, and it's going to be the key you're going to use, especially with the mono Hydro team when you have Springfield as your primary healer. And that is, the active skill Intensive Care will no longer heal. Instead, it deals AoE physical damage to all units in range, both friend and foe, excluding Florence herself. So yes, this makes it where instead of healing, it does physical damage to even your team members in there. Now, what makes this key though is, you might think, well, that's bad. No, it's what you actually kind of want, because when you look at Pleasure Trigger, her other buff that she can apply, with stimulants at the end of action, consumes HP from the buff holder. So you're already consuming your team's HP to a certain capacity with this skill. But then it increases the damage dealt, and in addition increases Hydro damage dealt based on HP lost during the effect's duration. So it's all, like, it's not just this skill consuming HP, it's HP lost during the entire duration, which would mean if you can hit them with her skill 1, so rather than healing them with their skill 1, you're damaging them, you're now increasing the Hydro damage they can produce, which I think will be very, very big. So you come in with Florence here, you get the buff on them with her skill 2, then from there you use Intensive Care to do damage to them, which then increases their damage even more, and then you'll have like Springfield come in to top them off on health. And they're already going to have a ton of health, because Springfield amplifies their health quite significantly. So I think even people, that's kind of the question, was people like, how are they going to pair together in terms of having just 2 healers? Because Springfield already like does a significant amount of sustain herself, and right there is, I think, the key to why she's going to work so well alongside Springfield. But the nice thing is, maybe you're not going to have, for some reason you don't have Springfield. I don't know who's not going to pull over her. Or maybe you're going to use her outside of the mono Hydro, and maybe you're going to have a summon team. Because I feel like a summon team will be a meta. I won't say meta, but will be a capable team in the future, where maybe you have a full team of units that all have summons and buffs towards summons. So maybe you don't use her in the mono Hydro, and then you can have her do healing instead. But in the mono Hydro, I think this is going to be the key to have on her, because this is really going to amplify the damage of your Hydro members. Especially if you can get this buff on... let's see. Yeah, because you basically target a single person. So it's only going to apply to one person. So you're going to kind of have to probably situationally use this AoE to make sure that you only hit them. Because you don't really want to just damage all your team. You want to damage the ones that it actually matters for. But I still think that is going to be very, very good. And so that's really nice. And that's what kind of changes it so that she fits in the Hydro team. And then you have this last one here. A common key increases the attack of the user's entity's summon. Now, we'll kind of have to see how much damage her bear does. But this could very well be better on Nikita. Because Nikita is a DPS. And so her summon does probably more damage than Florence's. So this might be a very good common key for Nikita. If not, it'll be good on her for sure. Yeah, and then we have the note here. Not all... the assumption is entity summons are not all summons. Because this was a question a lot of people had, is Springfield's Torres is not like a summon that's on the field. It's just like another thing that she can activate that like follows the enemy in that. But it's not like a entity on the field like Papa Shaw's or like Lainey or Nikita's little dog or this bear. So you're not going to get the buff if you apply it on her. And then we have, let's see. Yeah, so we have her handgun, her limited weapon. Increases the damage dealt of all entity summons. And this is where I'm getting the idea. This is where I have the idea that I feel like there will be an eventual summon team in the future. Meaning it's not going to be about the elements. It's going to be about summons. This might be long term. This might be a year or two from now. But this is kind of giving me that idea. Now we already have... Hydra's already kind of becoming the summon team with Nikita having a summon, and now her coming in there. So it very well could just be tied to Hydro, but this also gives the possibility for it in the future. Before an ally's attack, if the target has Hydro debuffs, increases Hydro damage dealt. If the attack is a counterattack, the damage dealt is further increased. Now, the really big nice thing about this gun overall, and this is going to be, I think, a really gun pickup on the Hydro team, is Nikita's also has counterattacks built in. So really, really nice there as well. And you have trait, before you use an active skill, cleanse debuffs on the user. If the cleanse is successful, gain a random buff. That's really nice there. Now, I really like this gun, but I do think the Battle Pass one will probably be good on her as well, just before the Confectants Index. But I think, like, the best guns in the game so far have, like, been all of the support ones, because they support the team as a whole. So they're the ones that I like to pull the most. Like, Vector's is really good. Yuhi's is pretty good. Hers is good. Springfield's really good. Yeah, they're my favorite of all the guns. So definitely getting that. But yeah, that is what we know now. So I believe it's going to be next Tuesday, because they always come out Tuesday for CN. We'll get actual numbers, and then we'll go over the kit from there and actually be able to see what it looks like in practice once the videos and people start testing her out. But I think she's going to be a very big... I think she's going to be very good. Just looking at this kit, I'm really liking what I'm seeing. Hydro's already pretty broken. And this just looks like it's going to make them even more broken. Now, the one tricky part is just going to be the meta team, how that's going to change. Because Klukai and Peridia, like I said in the past, were who you paired with them. But at this point, I've seen a lot of people that are mentioning, like, because I talk a lot about having, like, V6 Klukai. So Klukai may fall out of favor in the Hydro team, simply being that she's acting as like your defense down to a certain extent, and then you have Peridia to be a single target damage dealer, because Klukai is not good at that at V0. So you may just have, because she brings defense down 2 now, you may just see the meta team no longer include Corrosion. So we'll have to see how that kind of evolves, and kind of what happens with the Corrosion team, because we really need to get the next big user for that team, because right now they're starting to fall off if you're not going high in dupes. Like Klukai is still crazy good at V6 and CN, but she's fallen off in V0 because there's just simply not the content that needs that mass. She's still the best at AoE, but there's just not the content that needs it, that has the high difficulty. But yeah, overall, it looks really good. Like the kit, we'll just have to see what happens on a Tuesday. But that's pretty much it for now. If you like my content, if you could like, comment, subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.